Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night News with Go Indie Now, our season finale for the spring and summertime programming here on Go Indie Now, and we're going to be back in September. I've already blackmailed Katie into coming back in September, so she's going to be back with us, and she's not going anywhere. I promise you. And we'll be back in September to do more of what you're used to with this show. But today we're doing a very special show. By the way, I'm Joe Compton.
And I'm Katie Salidas, if you didn't already know.
And yeah, we're going to be doing a very special show today, which is Ask Us Anything. So throw your questions in the comments, and I will read them, and we will answer them. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I know who's in the chat, and I know who's going to be here. And so go ahead, throw those weird and funny questions at us. It's totally fine, totally random. We're totally prepared. Well, as much as we can be. We don't even know what you're going to ask, obviously. But, the ironic thing about being a news show and doing a special show like this is I actually have some news too to share. So at the end of this, we will be sharing something very, very, very awesome, and it involves all of you that are out there for sure. Okay, so definitely stay tuned for that. I was going to start the show with this comment. My brain is full of cake and conspiracy, but I shall think of a question or two. I really appreciate it.
I want cake. Can I have cake?
Yeah, right. Vanessa says, woohoo, thank you for being here. And Michael Faria says he just shared it to my page. You're awesome, Mike.
Thanks for the share.
That. Yeah, for sure. While you're here, what you have to do too. You have to smash that little like button there and,
Wait. How do we say it, Joe?
Smash that like button.
There you go.
Katie is miserable because it's 175,000 in her house right now, and where she lives.
I live on the surface of the fucking sun.
Yeah, if you didn't know, hell is not paved with gold. It is paved with big lights and a bunch of weird hotels.
I think it would be cooler if I went to hell at this point. That'd be like a vacation.
Rebecca says mine is full of coffee, but the fridge is full of cake. Come on, Katie.
I'm there.
Sorry, I'm a little late, but I was smashing that like button. See, yeah, that's awesome. We love it.
We can forgive smashing the like button.
Yes, for sure. Especially if you're going to be late. That's a good reason to be late.
Yes.
All right. So we do have a couple questions to start us off with. Miss A.F. Stewart asks, what sources do we use most frequently for indie news? You want to start us off with that question, Katie?
Yeah, there's a site, and I don't know if it's actually called the Hot Sheet or not, but that's what I have it listed as under my bookmarks, where you can search for topics and it will give you all of the relevant topics related to what you're searching for. And I usually search for indie news, indie publishing news, self-publishing, and it kind of aggregates all the sites like Good e-Reader, Publishers Marketplace, all of the sites that would have news. It generally aggregates them. And what I'll do is I will go through the list and find anything that would be pertinent for indies specifically. And then I sometimes will take the headline and I'll put that headline in a Google search and see what else is being talked about similar in that thread to kind of cobble together the real news, because we all know one news source does not mean truth. So if you get a lot of different people saying the same thing, it's more than likely to be accurate.
And for me, I scour the internet constantly. I have about 30 or 40 by now newsletters that I get on a daily or weekly basis from news sites like bookseller.com, Publishers Weekly, various sites, Deadspin for indie movie news. And then I also look for obscure things. I usually search Google with certain terms and look for certain things in the news section. People don't realize there's a news section in Google. If you click on the news section and you type in anything, you can probably find an article on just about anything. But I usually look for obscure things. And just to go a little bit behind the scenes for y'all, because I know that's why you're here today a little bit, Katie and I run it by each other. And I usually send the article to Katie, and Katie usually goes, no, that sucks. And then we Then we toss it, and I throw 3 more at her until one of them
No,
sticks. Yeah, come on,
no,
you know that's true.
no. Most of the articles you send me, I'm like, oh, where did you find that?
Yeah, so we do bounce it back and forth, and uh, there was once upon a time when we first started, we did a bunch of rehearsals. We don't do that as much anymore because I think we're pretty much got this game down a little bit. So, I mean, we're not getting cocky or arrogant, but we do. I mean, we do talk a lot about our broadcast and how it's going to go and everything like that. So there is a lot of talk about it, but we don't have to feel nervous about it anymore or anything like that because all of you have made that possible. So we're real grateful for that. But that's basically, I mean, I scour the news site up until probably even the day of. I think I've sent stuff to Katie that morning, and then we decide between the two of us which story, who's going to do what story. And usually, if it's bad news, I usually make Katie do it, and if it's good news, I'll take it on. That's usually how it goes.
I'm fine being the bearer of bad news. It's fine.
But that's a great question. That was a great question to start us off. I really appreciate it, Anita. Thank you. If you haven't yet, we just posted a new episode of Words That Kill. If you're into weapons, it's a really great episode with Pierre Arsenault. Arsenault. I know I'm butchering the Canadian there, but he is awesome. It's a great conversation. They talk about weird weapons that they use too, which is very fun. Yeah, it was cool. So check that out. That's on our site right now. Michael Faria has a question. He says, what has been the most effective way of getting your book readership up? I've begun contacting individual booksellers one by one, and I have a lot of phone calls to make. You want me to start on this one?
Yeah, because the answer is going to be different for all of us, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's not, there's no one trick pony or one magic bean or one wave of a wand that works. It really depends on your genre. Sometimes it depends on when you're publishing it, how you're publishing it, who's publishing it, where it is in terms of if it's a series, if it's the first book, if it's a standalone. I mean, there's so many factors to weigh. I mean, the initial thing that I think for most of what we do is engage our readers. I think that's the thing that I think every universal author, and I'm actually taking away a question that CL Cannon answers later, spoiler alert, but I totally agree with her. Being authentic and being yourself on these apps and on social media has really paid off. I also think, and this is just me, and this is what I did when I first published Amongst the Killing. After I had gotten that initial friends and family bump and, found groups on Facebook and got that bump, I was laboring for a while. So what I decided to do was look at options of where maybe around the world. I was noticing that I was only in certain spots in the world getting books sold. So I was wondering about those spots, and then I was also looking at where my genre fits best in what part of the world, because every genre, every piece of the world has a genre that they really gravitate towards, and for me, because I write crime thrillers, Germany is really heavy into crime thrillers. They love crime thrillers. So what I tried to do was I was looking at either translating it into German and going through a German publisher, or just publishing it through German KDP and all of the things you can do there, and try and make that work. And I ended up talking to a few people, and all of them told me to not waste my money on translating it in German, because most Germans speak English, and if they don't, they would have it translated anyway, probably through an e-reader or a vocal, reader, or whatever you call that, where it speaks to you instead of reads it out loud for you. And they use Kobo out there too, so they don't use Kindle. So KDP would have screwed me over. They have Kindle, but they use mostly Kobo out there, so for their readers. And so that, of course, that was a long time ago. But yeah, I'm old and I've been around a while. But with that, I skyrocketed. I actually was on their bestseller list, or whatever they call it, for 3 weeks in the top 10. I stayed there, and then I slowly declined. But after I guess I reached all the people who actually speak English in Germany, but I was offered to go out there and do some stuff, and I didn't take it up. That's my one real big regret. I should have done it. I should have made it work, but I didn't have the money or the time really to do it, and that kind of sucked. I should have done that because that would have been a lifelong thing I could have talked about forever.
There's the bottom line, though, Joe. It's consistency, and whatever you do, having the willpower to stick to it through the down times and through the high times. That's really what makes the difference, because people will tell you newsletters are the way to go. But if you're not consistent with your newsletters, why bother? If advertising is the way you go, but you're not consistently going through the analytics and mining those keywords and all the different, outlets that you can use depending on which advertising platform you're on to find out what actually works and taking that time, it's not worth the advertising. You're just spending money for nothing. Same with social media. I generally tell people pick one platform, maybe two, and stick with those, because if you try and spread yourself too thin, you're not going to have that consistency. You're not going to be able to build the fan base. So really, the bottom line is pick something and be consistent with it, and you will build it up, but it's going to be slowly. Nothing happens instantly. Nothing happens overnight. 10 years. What is the phrase? It takes 10 years to make an overnight success. I mean, that's pretty much true. You've got to just be willing to put the time in and deal with the down times, because it's not always going to be great.
And Mike, just so you know, I'm on year 14, so don't feel bad, brother. So I've passed the 10 years and I'm still not an overnight success. So I'm not even anywhere near it. Jonesy says, I don't know the name of it, but I call it this. Is such an author thing to say. Thank you. I think that's the first time she's ever called me an author.
Really? No way.
So that's awesome. It's different for everybody, and what I will say, once you get it up, I just faux pod. I am going to get ripped in the chat for that one. But once you get your readership up, I don't know if that was any better, but once you get the readership up, you can ride that wave for a while, but you're going to have to pivot at some point, and that's just the way it works. It's not a train that will never stop. You want to look at a great example of that. J.K. Rowling's a perfect example of that, because as soon as the movies were done, what started happening? Stories started coming out about how she's transphobic and all these things, and stopping her momentum, and all of those kind of things. So it happens to everybody. So ride the wave and enjoy it.
That's something to touch on too. The be real is very important, because especially if you build yourself into a celebrity status, people need to know who you are. If you say something completely outlandish all of a sudden, when you hit that top point, just like J.K. Rowling, you can have a hard fall. Yeah. So be real, be genuine the whole way through. That way your people are not surprised by the things that you say.
Yeah, see, I got.
There
she jumped on that immediately.
Yep.
I get scared of scamming friends and followers.
Yeah, don't spam. Don't spam.
Yeah, spam's not the way to go. But friends, friends and family, I'm here to tell you that's, it is what it is, right? That's a small bump. That's nothing what you're looking for. Followers, though. If you've got an active Facebook group, do some polling, do some fun, neat meme things. Just have fun with it. And
your readers involved in the story too. If you have a reader group, ask them questions. Ask them what they want to see in the next story that you write. Ask them what they liked about the story that you wrote, what they didn't like about the story you wrote. Get them involved, because if they feel involved, they become more attached to your work and more attached to you as an author.
Yeah,
I'm really bad about this. I can give advice, but I don't have enough hours in the day to follow my own advice. So I'm sitting here going, I haven't been in my reader group in I don't know how long.
You and me both. That's totally it, right? We do this almost like daily, where we give advice to people or say something or talk about something, and yet here we are now following our own
Right?
path.
Yeah. I am not a wild success. I do not put all of my advice into use. Please do not follow my example, but do follow the advice.
Yeah. All right. So, Regine had a great question here, and I'm going to let you jump on that one because I have no clue
Short
if they.
answer, no. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a while. There was I flagged it for the news and it's in my saved folder right now. There is some interesting stuff that is happening with what Amazon is allowed to and not to do that we're going to see probably sooner rather than later. That does affect Amazon's KDP, specifically Kindle Unlimited, as well as Audible. So there should be news coming very soon as to some positive changes for us, not based on the fight that we took to them, but based on legislation. So that will actually help us in the fight, but the legislation itself could be changing some of the things that we are frustrated with as authors right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same old story, right? I mean, and Vela launches like I think it launched either last week or it's about to launch this week or next week, and just wait, the transparency issues haven't ended. We're going to be talking about that one. I have a feeling in the fall. So, as much as I'm hoping not, but I'm hoping that it is a rousing success because I think a lot of people are excited about it, but we'll see. I mean, we both of us have intrepidations, I think, on that one.
I would like for Amazon to be a decent company. I don't
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't want to have a Goliath to fight. I would like us to be able to actually get our stuff out there, be fairly represented, be fairly paid for our work without problems. I mean, no one wants to see, anyone go under.
Yeah.
And it's been Amazon constantly getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar and not being made to pay back for all the problems they've caused. And I think we're starting to see not only author groups fight, but we're starting to see laws get put into place that are going to prevent Amazon from continuing the practices as they have been.
Yeah, it's a lot of comments on this one. Seems like ACX complaint, feedback change, cycle is 60 days long. Yeah, that's pretty it's pretty accurate, I think. Who knows? I mean, that's the thing. I think if they were just transparent, we would forgive all of these shortcomings a little bit because then we would know, we would see what it is. And I think that's what they're afraid of. The other thing I will say about Vela that I'm really, why I'm sketchy about it is because they don't stick to anything. They just try stuff out. They throw it against the wall. And if it doesn't stick right away, they leave it behind and move on to the next thing. It's a corporate way. It's the way corporations work. And I wish they didn't. I wish they'd give this a chance. They give it some time to let it develop and be what it's going to be. I mean, that's why Book Talk is so successful because people gave it time. TikTok didn't take them down, didn't shadow ban those guys. They promoted them, and look what happened. It blew up. And I think that Amazon takes that approach. This will be good for everybody. If they take the same old corporate approach that they take, it's going to be horrible.
Big corporations will do what they're going to do until they're forced to do otherwise. So
Mike says Amazon's been sketchy, and then Rebecca later on says she corrected them. They are sketchy. And Vanessa says she's working on a Vela story right now. Vanessa, let us know to keep us informed how it's going.
Yeah, inside information. Give us all the details.
They're not advertising to readers yet. Yeah. So JD Estrada said it. JD Estrada said, correction, Mike, Amazon is sketchy. Ooh la la, Vanessa. Awesome. I think they're going to kill themselves off eventually. They can't even hire enough people to work for them. I heard the turnover rate is 150%.
Oh, their propaganda ads are horrible too. Every time I'm watching YouTube, the ads that show up in between, I see a bunch of Amazon ads about how much working for Amazon is wonderful and don't believe all the negative stereotypes. This is a great company, and because of Amazon, I did this. Oh my God, they are pushing so hard with that.
JD Estrada says, I want D2D to work for me, but alas, no traction. They swiped my KU money. Oh, that's not good. Sup, JD? yeah, I'm not even going to try it. I feel like they just want my money. Well, I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to do it. I mean, other than time, you know.
As long as you're not exclusive into Kindle Unlimited,
Ooh,
you can still go completely
okay,
wide.
okay. You're really like robotic.
Any better?
No. Try it again. There you
How
go.
about now?
Yeah, there you go. Better.
Okay. I lost my train of thought.
All right. This is the way corps work here in the U.S., not everywhere, though. Yeah, true. That's very true. I also would like to not live in a late stage capitalistic hellscape. However, companies are immoral, and the only important thing is to never go up. All the numbers go up. Yeah. Likewise, Mike. And then, no, Rebecca, I just thought you had said it. I don't think you look alike. I'm scrolling through these things. I'm on my phone. You'll have to adjust. I'm sorry. I apologize that I apologize to both you and JD. Yep, the banana and the prod. I'm telling you, we're going to be in development on that show here pretty soon. I might start using TikTok more for promo. Lauren's killing it over there. She's really reading and making more money than she did as a manager at JC Penney's. Yeah, sounds
nice
to me. Oh, I was totally referring to Bella. You guys are awesome, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's Joe. I don't know where we're going with all these conversations. I'm just going through them. Spend 100 million to avoid unionizations to save a couple billion. Easy choice. You guys, oh, you didn't hear it? Okay, cool. Awesome. Yes, we know. That's fine. You can razz all you want. We're totally fine with that. How about you mix in a question while you razz it?
Oh,
you know, we were totally
back at her.
You're right. Well, we're totally expecting. This is your time, folks. You know, we're done with the questions. No, there's no other questions in here. I'm just seeing you guys chatter, which is fine. But throw some questions. We'd love to answer questions. That's why we're here. You know, and we don't care how silly or stupid they are. I mean, there's no stupid questions, I should say. We don't care how silly or far-fetched they are, or, you know, if you've got actual questions. No.
I can't hear that quote
I did not miss your question. I've gone through them. I did not see them. If you're talking about the question that was more of a statement than a question, then I didn't read that one on purpose because that's not a question. Oh, are you ready? JD says yes. I'm ready. Bring it. Oh, here you go. Here's a good question that neither of us probably could answer from our friend Madeline DeGraff. She says, "What is your favorite read from the past month?" Katie's read how many books, Katie? How many have you read in the past month? I'm curious.
No, it's just one because this is a major editing project that I'm essentially rewriting the book instead of just editing it. And so that has been my sole focus for this last month. I haven't got to read anything.
That wasn't really a question, Rebecca. You said any questions. That wasn't really a question. That was more of you making a statement about, do I think whatever. I even forget the faux pas I made earlier, but whatever.
Although I should say that the last book I attempted to read was A Discovery of Witches, and I think I made it 300 pages before I had to set it aside for other stuff. So I am still only 300 pages into the book.
So I've read a lot in the last 2 months, and I'm about to read more because something exciting is going to happen. But I am currently in the throes of Only Human by Mr. J.D. Estrada. But I will tell you that my favorite finished book that I've read, and it's not really a book, it's a novella, and really it's a short story, to be quite honest, but The Artist by Christy Stratos has probably been my favorite over the last couple months. I really, really enjoy
She's on my list too.
How she twists and turns that universe. And if you're into Victorian stuff at all, she might be one of the best at it. She really uses it. See, I know Christy. I know that she has a love for old movies, like old black and white movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and she really has those kind of. She really likes those, and she uses a lot of that sentiment. And she also likes a lot of like crime and thriller stuff. So she uses all of that to her advantage. She's very smart in the way she writes things, and I really, really enjoyed that. I did. I mean, Moss and Clay, for an older book, not one that's new, is fantastic. I think it's a home run. And of course, Weapon of Magical Destruction. I didn't read that. I cheated. I heard it being read to me. So Katie read it to me. If you didn't get to experience that, that's too bad. That was a lot of fun.
Hey, it's still on my YouTube channel. If anyone wants to listen to them, all of the chapters are still up there for both book 1 and 2.
But I will say Moss and Clay, I'm so excited to get into that series even more, because it is fantastic. That's by Rebecca Jonesy, who you might recognize in the chat. But it is probably, I will say, it's probably the best book I've ever read in a fantasy setting, in an urban fantasy setting, that sets you up for what's to come. Because I'm into Clay and Blood right now, and really a lot of what Moss and Clay set up, like you were thinking was kind of mundane or benign, is not, because all of that references into the next book and the next one. I'm guessing in the next one. So she's very clever about how she does that, and I think that's again, I guess I gravitate to that kind of stuff, where you're not kind of hitting me over the head, you're letting me be smart about it. Mm-hmm. So those are the kind of books I love. And so The Artist is certainly that story is certainly that. It's absolutely just one of those kick you in the pants that you think about when you're looking at it. All right. So JD Estrada says, anyone have any idea about getting stories made into video games? This is interesting, JD, because I actually do. I've been talking to a lot of people in the comic world lately, and that's where they're headed. A lot of them are thinking that's what they're going to do. They're going to design their worlds into a video game. And you have to get a programmer, you have to get a bunch of stuff, graphics artists, but there are video game companies out there actively looking for scripts.
That's cool.
I would check that out. I would do some research and see if you can do that. Let's see. I don't want to miss everything. Tell us about your red carpet stuff, Joe. I'm not sure. I've done a ton of it, Mike. So you want to know my experiences on them? Is that what you want to know? Kind of clarify that for that, and I'll tell you what you want. I mean, I don't want to. I could go on about that. What do you think of Apple removing email tracking? Oh, yes, I just read this story. Removing email tracking from their platform. What do you think about that, Katie? I'm sure maybe you haven't touched on it, but just your initial reaction.
I haven't touched on it because I don't follow Apple.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. I think they think they're being coy a little bit with it, but it's interesting. I have to go more into depth about it, and maybe we'll do a story on it if it's relevant. I mean, it's really more toward people who are using Apple products and Apple than anything else, and so it's kind of niche, but niche, whatever. Yeah, that's why I have an editor. All right, but it's an interesting story nonetheless, Anita. I think it's I think there's thought for concern there a little bit. I think. JD says, Joe, progress on your book. Katie, still have alarm PTSD. And how's the heat lately? You weren't here at the very beginning, JD, when I mentioned that it's 175,000 degrees of where Katie is.
When I first logged in and Joe caught me, he's like, are you okay? What's wrong? And I'm like, I'm fine, because I had just come in from dropping my kids off and from just being outside, and my car clocked it at 122. So 122 degrees, it's fucking hot. My hair was just dripping. I was tired. I was exhausted. I looked like a cat had been drowned and just pulled out of the water. It was bad.
Madeline wants you to know that you should go back and finish that book too. She says it's a great series. So, So progress on my book is which book, JG? I owe Rebecca a ton of edits for the first book. I really owe her a third book as well. I barely even touched the surface on that. And as far as my fantasy goes, I'm at 1,600 words right now. I have not been writing very much this last week. But for those who don't know, I started an epic fantasy 6-book series, something that I never thought I would ever do in my lifetime. And here I had this crazy idea, and I floated it by a few people, and there's still some few people who I want to float it by even more. They ever get the time. Katie's Salidas. But yeah, and I'm going for it. I'm jumping in. So I got to get the Monks of Killing edits done, though. That's for sure. That's something I put on my to-do list for the next week. So Rebecca, that'll get done this week. I promise. Rebecca asks, have you guys heard of any difference being made with people pulling from ACX and selling straight on Amazon? Interesting. I've seen a lot more people go to Findaway Voices and talk about Findaway Voices. I've also seen a lot of people talk about Ingram Spark a lot too. And there's another one. Somebody mentioned another one in a panel I was in, and I don't remember the name of it.
There's a lot more audiobook sources right now than you possibly imagine. And actually, Findaway is really good about trying to connect you with all of them. So it's a good source if somebody wants a one and done, like a Drafted Digital does. But there are a lot of different sources that you can look into now for audiobooks without having to go ACX.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking. I have the chat up here too, so I'm trying to keep.
I was surprised. I was reading about it because I had to do a little research this morning for one of my clients. Publish Drive, which is one we don't talk about very often, but
that was the one.
Also offers the audiobooks now, and their rates are actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that was the one that was mentioned in the panel I was in. So that's interesting. Yeah,
and they are heavy European and Chinese and Asian, so they will get you into markets that other ones might not get you into. So it's worth going as wide as humanly possible and trying to reach through those.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot. Not so many people leave ACX as we are seeing people go wider. I think is them
non-exclusive.
Yeah, and getting out of the 7-year deals that have been itching at people's skulls forever. Because if you didn't know, Amazon will let you out of your deal. So
you have to get permission if you have a royalty share. But if you and your producer can agree to it, if you can pay them off, pay off your contract with them, then you can get out of that deal and get out of exclusivity.
Yeah. JD says, are either of you or anyone in the chat working on translations of your works? No, I am not.
Not currently.
But the plan is always, the more revenue I can generate for stuff, I would definitely be down for that. I have a publisher though, so I have to, work with them on that. So, that's the kind of thing that, I think me and Three Furious Press would have to have a conversation about. But that's actually part of our contract. We talked a little bit about it. I actually talked a little bit about it up front when I was signing with them. So, but I think, I would love to learn another language and be able to read in that language. I think that would be freaking cool, especially since I know, Mr. Estrada, you're going to be putting out a lot more Spanish stuff, in more recently, and I how much I love reading your stuff, so I would love to be able to understand what the hell I'm reading. But that's. Are you frozen, Katie?
Nope.
Okay.
Got nothing to say. I'm not translating anything right now. I would love to look into it someday, but right now the funding is not available, so pipe dream.
Yeah, so JD says, woohoo, We're Only Human. Yes, sir. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. It takes a little getting into, but once you're into it, it's pretty awesome. I need to get back to reading too. Been sucked into playing video games over the last few months. Hey, look, don't beat yourself up, man. Everybody goes through that. I've been on a non-reading kick for 15 years, so you're not alone. Um,
15
and
years?
yeah, something
15
like that.
years?
I've read probably in the last, okay, so
Breaking news.
in the last 5 years, in the last 5 years, I've probably read 25 books, maybe 30. I don't know. But, and Read That Short was fantastic. And oh yeah, I think he's talking about The Artist. And yes, I agree. Read it. It's awesome. It's very quick. I actually read that in a night. So if I can read that at night, anybody could. Silly humans. The story definitely has that feel. Yeah. Has anyone heard of Indie Accords Readathon on YouTube? Yes,
Somebody tagged me about that. I didn't get into it though.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out either all the way. Somebody else, I think Margaret tagged me on it or talked to me about it. I can't remember which.
It's on my
But
list to look into later.
yeah, I've been looking at certain, like, that's been popping up on my feed a lot too. So I'll look at those. I put a bunch of stuff in watch later for that. So we'll see how that goes. Because I think that might be some good news. I signed up for IFA Summer Reading Challenge, and I've been working on 6x10s and have had zero chance since the last month. That sucks. I know how much you like to read, sir. That is correct, but it's an intense process. Rebecca says, "Oh shit, I forgot to return JD's beta read notes." That's 2 weekends for Rebecca.
Who's getting the cattle prod now?
Yeah. Yes, $25. And NFT can be resold, but they cannot be duplicated because there is a chain of custody on the blockchain. But yeah, it's not an original painting or something. At least that's my understanding.
Did I miss something?
I'm not sure about that either. But how many videos do you have in your watch later? I only keep 10. That's my rule. I put 10 in there, and if I have more than 10, I watch them right away, and then I remove those 10 and put a new 10. So I always only keep 10. That's my rule.
You're way better than me. I need like a subcategory of watch now because I need the frivolous versus the real stuff. Because I will throw everything in watch later if it's something I do need to pay attention to, and I will go through the list eventually when I have the free time too. But a lot of times it's a mix between, personal research and client research and just book research. There's so much stuff in there.
Yeah, I do worry that I've lost some stuff because of that rule, but what I've discovered about YouTube and the algorithm is that it knows what I like, so it'll come back to me eventually, and I'll get it back on there. And if I wasn't meant to see it, I wasn't meant to see it. That's how I look at it.
I do subscribe to a lot of channels that I might want to watch something of theirs later, so that it instead of going to my watch list, it's just in my subscriptions, because then I'll also sometimes go through my subscriptions and go, oh wait, I haven't watched anything from this channel.
Regine says JD is awesome about raising awareness, not talking about dried grapes. That's raising awareness. Nice. I'm doing the IFA challenge, or IFA reading challenge too. Awesome. I do my best, Regine. I will get those to you. No worries, my dear. All right. Last classic book you read. JD is on fire. He just wants to know everything about us.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy is probably the last classic that I read.
Wow.
And I have read it multiple times too.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to do this because I think it's a classic because it's old enough. Well, it's not old enough yet, but I'm going to tell you right now that the last classic I read was Anatomy of a Darkened Heart by Christy Stratus.
Ooh.
That's
high praise.
Absolutely one of the last classics I read. And I will say it's one of my top 10 favorite books of all time. I will also say that Moss and Clay will be up there eventually as well. It's a little younger. So, but I'm going by the mere value of classic in terms of what, I think it's 25 years or something like that, right? So Anatomy's not quite there yet. It's got about 10, 12 more years to go. But it will be a classic, I think, ultimately. And I think Moss and Clay will. I think with Rebecca's series, what's really going to get her over eventually is that there's going to be a TV series or a movie made about it.
That'd be
And I think
awesome.
that's what I think will get that series seen. But uh, you know, and who knows? Maybe I might take that on. We've talked about it actually. So, but I'm always looking to challenge myself, and that would be a real challenge. But I think a woman needs to direct that. I really do. But and I would gladly step aside for a woman to write that and direct it for sure. But I think it's awesome. I think Anatomy of a Darker Heart, like I said, is one of my top 10 books of all time, and I recommend it. Any chance anybody asks me about something that I should read, that's the one I always recommend. That one, and another instant classic, which is The Distant Sounds of Violence by Jason Greenside. It is his only book, unfortunately, but it is awesome as well. That was also one of my all-time favorite indie books of all time. And I will say, I like the Asset series. I think the Asset series could be a good TV show too. So
That would be the dream. That would be. I appreciate it though. Thank you.
mm-hmm. I think the first one, is especially like cinematic. I think I told you that. I think that's the one thing I
Aww.
really really enjoyed about it was that I could visually see everything, and it was cued very well. It you read it like it was a movie or a TV show, and so I think that helped a lot for me visually. Dude, I always have a truckload of questions. Good.
We can't forget CL Cannon though.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say we'll get to those in a minute. Got to run. Thanks, Mike, for being here. We really appreciate it, man. Read Tom Sawyer recently. Any thoughts on people wanting to be boulderized versions of books? I think that sucks. I think if we're going to rewrite books based on or destroy them because they're not fitting counterculture or our sensitivities these days or anything like that. Look, Tom Sawyer is a terrible book for representation, but and I don't really think it's a very good book either. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Mark Twain, but that's just my personal taste. I just couldn't get over all the dialect. That drove me crazy.
We can't whitewash history by getting rid of what came before.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything.
The problems with it, and we can address those, but sometimes that becomes the example in and of itself.
Yeah. Anatomy will be a classic. I agree. It's perfect. I think so too. Yeah. Well, thanks. You're welcome. Help me write the screenplay. Of course. I would always do that. I'm happy to do that. Elaborate on boulderized, please. Basically pummeled is what he's saying. Throwing rocks at it and destroying it, basically. I think that's, am I correct? And is that the correct definition of that, Katie?
Yeah, as far as I understand.
Yeah. Same here, Joe. Books edited to remove content that might be deemed offensive. Yeah, see that. Yeah. Yeah, Asset 1 is very cinematic. After that, the effects are gonna get pricey.
Wait till we get to the floating bus.
Yeah. Enjoyed the book, but a bunch of random adventures. I didn't have. I know that the more plagiarized one, or the more polarized one, I should say plagiarized. The more polarized one is Adventures of Huck Finn, because that's really, really rapidly racist. But I enjoyed that book more than I did Tom Sawyer, to be honest. I didn't really care for Tom Sawyer. I couldn't get into it because of all the, All right, so we'll tackle this one after the break. But I think now it's time for you all to hear some questions. Some of you submitted some questions to Miss Cannon, and she answered them. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy some of these answers. And then we'll be back to finish things up. But here's CL Cannon with her marketing tip of the month, and it's all about answering your question.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you your monthly marketing tip, and today we're going to be doing some rapid fire questions. So our first question is, what do you see as the next big thing in marketing for the publishing world? And without a doubt, I would say that would be short form video, which is already in the form of TikTok. Instagram is starting to move over to the short-term video. Now, audio chat is also a thing that's coming in really popular with Clubhouse. Likewise is getting into it. Twitter already has it, and Facebook just now implemented it. So audio chat and short form video. Next question. What are 3 mistakes authors make when it comes to marketing? The first one would be spamming people over and over again with buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. I see that on a lot of new authors. Timelines on their Facebook pages, on every social media they have just have constant posts to buy their books. That doesn't work. You need to be trying to engage with people and not trying to sell to them 24/7. Then not investing in a quality product. This is probably the thing I see the most, because there's so many things that make up a quality product, like having a good cover, having a blurb that catches someone's eye, and professional editing. If you don't have those 3 things, you probably don't have a quality product. And if you don't have a quality product, no one's going to buy it, or very few people will buy it. The third mistake is selling to friends and family. Friends and family are not your target audience. You want to find people who are interested in your genre, even though some of your friends and family might be interested in your genre. Usually it's best to just give them a copy of the book if you want them to read it, because they may not all the time read the same genre, and that can mess up your also bots. Okay, next question. What's better, ads leading up to or after a launch or sale? Pre-order is a time to experiment and try out as many free avenues as you can to get your book out there. Without a doubt, the day that your book launches and after that is when you want to be spending the most money on ads and on things like newsletter blasts and anything that's costing you money to promote, because you want to get up there and stay in the charts. Same thing goes for sales. Because the product is out there. If the product is out there, people will buy it. People with gift cards can buy it, which is something that they can't do with a pre-order. So it makes it accessible to more people. And it's just a lot easier for people to buy. And of course, more people will buy it then. Next question. How soon should I start marketing a book or build my social media platform? Immediately. I say this a lot, immediately. The more that you hype a book when you first started writing it, the longer you have to gain traction and gain fans. You can share your writing process. You can share excerpts. You can share character quizzes. You can do playlists of music that you're listening to when you're writing, artwork, cover reveals, anything that gets your readers' attention and makes them excited for your book. And the last one that I have is, can I design my own cover? I mean, you can, but you probably shouldn't unless you have some sort of background in professional design. And by professional design, I mean you either took a class for it, you did it in college, or you have been doing it for many years and you've made a profit off of your business. A lot of people call themselves professional designers and they really aren't. They don't have quality work that's coming out, and they're only selling in very small quantities to people who don't have a lot to be able to afford. So unless you can charge a premium price for your designs, then you probably shouldn't be trying to design your own cover. Leave that to the professionals, because a cover is your #1 marketing tool. If you don't have the right cover, and even if you have a pretty cover, if it doesn't speak to the genre that you are trying to sell, your book could flop, and you may never be able to recover the sales that you would have gotten because you launched with a bad cover. Sometimes you can recover and you can discover a new audience. I've seen a lot of people who have tried to recover a book and actually, gotten a professional and it looks nice, and that they have seen their sales skyrocket. So a cover is important no matter what other people say, and you shouldn't design it yourself unless you really know how to. Okay, that was my rapid fire marketing questions. Thank you guys so much for submitting them to me. As always, if you have any questions or if you have any comments about things that I've said, or you just want to know more about marketing in general, you can always email me at info@fiction-atlas.com, or you can message me on Facebook. I'm always happy to help. Okay, that's all from me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Awesome stuff. Comment of the night right here. She's really done some remodeling on her car. Looks nice. I approve of the mobile libraries. I do too. That's a beautiful library.
That is her branding. She is always in the car. We expect a car video.
That's a beautiful, beautiful library, though. I mean,
Yes,
that's just
yes.
gorgeous. Miss DeGraff had a question for us right before the break, and I wanted to answer that one first. And it says, "Are you a wine drinker? If so, what do you prefer?" I am not. I am a beer drinker. Sorry, I do not know any wines. I'll tell you, the only wine that I've ever thought was any good was I did a Australian Syrah,
Ooh.
I think is how you say it, and that one was okay, but I'm not a big wine guy.
I'm not a huge wine drinker either, though I do prefer Moscatos and Rieslings. I do like the more bubbly, fruity wines.
I was a big champagne drinker when I was younger. I liked a lot of champagne. Uh, I liked it because it was a different kind of drunk for me. It was kind of interesting. For some reason, I would stay up all night after drinking champagne. So there was some interesting conversations that went on between me and my friends after a night of. We would in high school, we would all, because they were $3 a bottle, we would buy the Brut champagnes, this really cheap shit, and just we'd each have a bottle and pound a bottle, sometimes two, because sometimes we had $20 in our pocket instead of 10. But yeah, those are fun nights. But
When I was younger, the apartment complex I lived in actually had a bunch of friends also living in the same apartment complex. And we would regularly have parties at each other's houses, and everyone would crash where they were. There was no worry about people driving drunk or anything. They would crash where they were, and in the morning, whoever was left crashed on the floor would help make breakfast the next day. And we always had champagne brunch where we would have the bottles of Brut as our hair of the dog the next morning to help with the hangover.
would you do like the mojitos or whatever they call that?
I have pictures of just us drinking it straight out of the bottle the next morning.
Yeah, I could tell you some alcoholic stories for sure, but yeah.
Oh yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
Oh, youth, where did it go?
Right. This is a cool comment. Recover to recover sales, discover to discover more readers. That's awesome. I love that, Regine. Shiraz, Zinfandel, cabs, blends. There you go. I think JD was giving us his wine list there. That's awesome.
No sex in the champagne room.
Yeah, but there's no sex in the champagne room. All right. Well, yeah. Mead, honey wine is awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about mead. I haven't. That's the homemade stuff, right? We've talked about this off camera before, hanging out and stuff. But I would love to try that. So maybe when we're in Carolinas, if you guys want to put some mead together, I would definitely partake. I don't know about Katie, but I'm not gonna speak for Miss Salidas. She can speak for herself. JD, you're doing it wrong. Mead is the best wine. Also enjoy mead. Equal opportunity drinker, but always in moderation. Yeah, sure. Mimosas are a great. Mimosas is what I was thinking of. Thank you. I need to try mead. I love a good Merlot. Oh, is it Merlot?
I have never been a fan of Merlot. Oh,
yeah.
I tried so hard to like it.
One of my favorite quotes from any movie is Sideways. If they order Merlot, if they order any Merlot, I'm fucking out of here. I'm not gonna drink any fucking Merlot. But anyway, I just make Katie blush there. I have some aging for you, Joe. Okay, cool, awesome. I'll bring some meat at Multiverse. Yes, awesome. Cool. I would love to try it for sure. I've already made it and got the Robertsons drunk on it. I made them even fat. Nice.
Good job. Good job.
All right. So we've got 5 minutes left. So I guess you've all waited long enough to hear my big announcement. I would make myself big here, but I don't want to fuck around with my phone. So I'm just Katie can just sit here and listen. She already knows the announcement. But so basically what's been happening, for those of you that don't know, over the last 5 months, I actually got contacted by IMDb, which is the Internet Movie Database. It's probably the premier site for learning about movies and knowing about movies and gauging celebrity stuff and all that good stuff. For the past 4 months, I have been compiling Go Indie Now programming and putting it on there as as credits, as IMDb credits. Katie Salidas is now a member of the IMDb family. She has a credit on IMDb, and then she put Spilling Ink on there, which is awesome. And then, yeah, well, if you didn't, somebody, maybe I did. Did I put it? Maybe, I don't know. No, I think you did, because you put your picture on there. I didn't put your picture on. So Spilling Ink's on there, and Mr. J. Estrada, and who does segments for me. I have also put him in there. But so I've been building the IMDb page and slowly putting all these shows on there, and I will get to the episoding as well. So a lot more people will be on IMDb than originally was. But part of what they offered me was to become an external critic. Basically because they saw that I had a blog, and they asked me, do I review movies? And I told them yes. And so on that blog, that's what I was doing. I was reviewing movies. And so now all of my links to any of the movies, so if you go to the movie that I reviewed, like for example, Stealing Chaplin's a good one. If you go Stealing Chaplin, you'll click on external reviews, you'll see Go Indie Now there. My review is attached to every movie that I've reviewed on their site. Well, this upped my traffic about 1,500% over the last 3 months. And then with that, I went to Fandango, and Fandango took notice. And so starting around September timeframe, I will be listed in Fandango as an external reviewer. And it goes on and on from there. I've been talking to a bunch of places and sites. Fandango, for those who don't know, is a Time Warner company. So that's going to extend its reach to a bunch of other things that, Time Warner has its thumb on. And so hopefully that ups it even more. So we're taking the month of August virtually off. There will be some things that happen in August on Go Indie Now, but as I usually do, that's usually our hiatus month to head into the fall programming and get the fall programming set up and go to the end of the year. So we're taking that off. So I thought I would take advantage of that opportunity by not only writing, which is what I try to do, and clear my head, with all these voices that are going through my head right now, and get that out there. But I also have made a conscious effort, as I talked about earlier, how terrible a reader I've been over time. I've made a conscious effort to become a better reader. So what I'm offering to people out there, and this is going to be contingent, so understand what I'm saying out there. I'm going to start reviewing, along with movies, books on a weekly basis. I'm going to put books up there, and I will probably employ some guest reviewers at some point too, because I just can't do it all. But I'll be reviewing those in August, and I will also be doing music as well. So if you are a musician or an author and you're releasing a brand new book in 2021, come talk to me. I will do what I do with the books is I try to find the positive in everything. That's what I do with my movie reviews. I will employ the same formula for books and music. So something nice will be said about your book. But here's the caveat. Okay. Here's the rub. It has to be brand new material. It has to be 2021 releasing. It don't care when. You can reach me at any time. If it's a series, it has to be the beginning of the series or the second book in the series. I'm not going to go deeply into a third or fourth book unless you can claim to me it's a standalone. If it's a standalone and I could read it without reading the other 3 books ahead of it or before it, I will attempt to take that on. Now, obviously, I'm going to get flooded, and ultimately, I've already put this out there. I'm putting this out there, so I know that there's some PR guys out there that are going to, start emailing me and talking to me about it. So I'm going to be very. I'm going to be as best. I'm going to do the best I can to get as much as I can out. But at some points, I'm going to probably have to be selective. So this is your chance right now to get in early, because I have a list of 6 or 7 already. But I will jump on as many as I can. So if you guys want to, if you're publishing something in 2021 and you want me to go, by the way, JD, your book, your ballad book is on my list of the 6 that I was just referring to. But if you guys want to have me read them, I will do my best and post a review. So hopefully that'll get a bump. And then from there, I am also talking not just with the movie review sites, I'm talking with the book review sites. I've already reached out to a couple places, Publishers Weekly being one of them, and found out the person I need to talk to about that. So I can't promise anything on that end. You will get a good bump, though, because I am getting seen a lot on my website, on this blog site. But I will try and expand that reach as well and become super external with those sites as well. And then who knows, from there, we'll see how it goes. But that being said, that's what's happening right now. So for most of you in the chat, however, I will say all of you have a book that I've always wanted to read. Every single one of you, I've seen every single one of you in here. I know who's been here and who's in the chat, at least who's been chatting with us. I know there's more people watching who maybe haven't said hi or anything, but that's fine. But those who are in the chat, just know that I'm also, along with doing new reviews, I'm going to retro review, but I have narrowed that down and limited that selection so that I will not be accepting any new ones. But all of you who have been here are all people already on my list. So you will get a review from me from one of your books. That is just, I know who's out there and watching right now, and so all of you can rest assured you'll get a retro review from me from one of your books. It's a book of my choosing, so I'm sorry if it's something you published 20 years ago and you don't want people to talk about it, but that's just tough. I'm going to talk about it. But that being said, that's the big news. And there'll be more about it as the months go on and things go on. But I've got a lot of reading to do, so I need to go get started. I need to go get my edits done and get my story done, and get my first. I'm gonna get the first book out of the fantasy series to people to tear apart here by the year's end. That's my goal. And my third book, obviously, as well. I need to get that written. That probably won't happen in August. I have to be realistic and know that I am not Superman and I have limits. So
but you know what, Joe? You know what? And everyone in the chat box is saying it right now. We are all so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
We are so proud of you. How far you've come, how far you're going to go, and you're going to get all the recognition you deserve because you are amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I thought you were writing a book, Regine. You said you'd let me write a book. I thought you were already writing one. I will definitely review it. That will be part of the new ones. So that's not a retro one. But yes, I think there's. I just want to be able to spread the love, and I've been noticing it, and so I'm going to do something that may be impossible for me, but I'm going to do it. Trust me. When I tell you, I have about 20 books to read in the month. I'm going to read every single one of them before August is over. I know it. I'm going to do it, and I'm real excited about that.
We need status updates on your social media as you read these books.
You know what? Go to my Goodreads page. I'm going to use Goodreads for that.
No, curse you. Not Goodreads.
Just kidding. I'm not. I will
Twitter.
Yeah, I'll Twitter it. Yeah.
Post it Instagram of the book you just read.
But anyway, so I'm real excited for that. I'm real excited to share the love with all of you, and that by no means is going to not also be reflected in Go Indie Now programming. We'll still do reviews on This Week in Indies too. Like I said, though, I only have so much time, so I'm really hoping some people want to do some guest reviews there. If you want to do some guest reviews on the blog too, if you read something you really want to talk about, I'm all for it. Or listen to some music you really want to listen to, because I don't listen to. I do have a variety of music I like to listen to, but I don't listen to it all. So, maybe somebody else can cover some music or something. But I'm all for that, and I think that's a good place to go. This was a really fun show.
This was fun.
We'll do this more as the time goes on. And thanks everybody for being here and enjoying it. For all your great questions, they were awesome. And smash that like button. I see most of you have already done that, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Comment, subscribe, like, and share all the things.
Yes, please. And you know why, Katie?
Oh, do I get to say it for the finale?
Yeah.
Yay! Okay. Because it's always time to go indie now.
And with that, we say good night. Come on, end.